In case you've been living under a rock, Future Redeemed, the DLC story expansion for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, comes out in just 5 days. 5 days! Monolith just decided to drop a huge trailer on us 2 days ago, a bunch of other info, and said, hey, it comes out next week. I was not at all ready for this. I don't think anyone was ready for this. I'm still feeling overwhelmed at just the sheer amount of info we've gotten. Even now, the info is still coming out on their Twitter. It just doesn't stop. There is so much to potentially talk about before this even comes out. And how is this only 5 days away? Why does it look so good? It's true that there was a lot of info given to us between the trailer and information on the Xenoblade Twitter and the Nintendo website, and in this video I do want to help make sense of some of that info. I will likely have a separate video coming out covering combat and other gameplay related stuff, and for today just focus on the information regarding the story and characters in the trailer, because trust me, there is still a lot of information just based on that. If you enjoy my content and want to see more Xenoblade 3 and Future Redeemed content in the future, including a bunch of gameplay guides, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I just recently hit 75,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane to me, so thank you all so much for the support. I'd absolutely love to hit 100k eventually, so any subscriptions would mean the world to me. Let's get into the video and start by analyzing this trailer. So, the trailer immediately starts with our new protagonist, who is named Matthew, running in the burning city before we get a close-up shot of N killing his grandfather and destroying the city. Based on the relationship chart that was posted on Twitter, we learn that the grandfather is named Gondor. Based on the memory sequence, we also see that he is the child of one version of Noah and Mio, implied to be the versions that would eventually become N and M. This makes sense since he is apparently the founder of the first iteration of the city. This already gives pretty heartbreaking implications for this scene, as it means that N is essentially killing his own son, and is so broken mentally at this point that he simply does not care about anything except for his Mio, or M, as seen in the main game. I assume this scene leads into the scene where M confronts N and asks why he did this in the main game as well. This gives some more insight into the character of N, who went from loving his son and wanting the best for his life to straight up killing him and having no issues targeting his descendants, including Matthew either. The grandfather's name being Gondor also explains the origin of the name and why the Xenoblade 3 Gondor hates the name so much. Matthew, our protagonist, is the founder of House Fandom and presumably has that as his last name, and I imagine the Gondor name has been passed down through that line until we eventually get to our Gondor. Speaking of the name Matthew, that is another biblical reference similar to Noah. The most famously known Matthew in the Bible was one of Jesus' disciples and the author of the Gospel of Matthew, a book written to explain the divinity of Jesus to the Jewish people. It is a Hebrew name originally meaning gift of God. I could not tell you exactly what this could mean in context of the DLC, and there may not even be as much of a symbolic meaning to the name compared to Noah, but it is still a cool reference nonetheless, and what I assume they were going for. This segment is likely what begins Matthew's journey, and it ends with a giant explosion and him being blown back. The next segment of the trailer is essentially a quick collage of the main party of this game's faces, before cutting to the DLC graphic that shows Future Redeemed. So, on the website and in the relationship chart, we've been given more info about all these characters, so we may as well go through all of that now. This is translated directly from Japanese, so some of the phrasing is going to be a bit awkward. For Matthew, he is a young man who belongs to the organization City that opposes Mobius. That's an organization now. He has a caring personality, and he is searching for his missing sister, Nile. He fights with fists with special powers. According to some more info, these are called the Ouroboros fists, which I can talk a bit more about later. As I've already discussed him, let's move on. Next up we have A, literally just the letter A. She, I assume, is a slender red sword wielder who works with Matthew. She is Matthew's good companion who has a personality of judging things calmly and tends to act without thinking ahead. So the most glaringly important thing to note about A is that she has an earring that looks exactly like the Alvis core crystal. In addition to this, her design is extremely similar to Alvis, and given the fact that her name is just A, there is likely an important connection there. Her weapon is even a type of Monado, which hammers home these connections even further. There's some more stuff to talk about regarding this, but I'll wait until a little bit further in the trailer. Next up, we have Nicole. His description is a soldier of Kevis who excelled in mechanical engineering. He has a calm and quiet personality, but shows a positive side when talking about machines. Fights by controlling a machine arm. In gameplay clips, he was a tank class, so the machine arms he has seem to coincide heavily with this. Nicole is a name that comes from the word victory. It is Greek in origin. This is seemingly the same word in Japanese as well. Based on his design, he is speculated to be the son of Shulk and Fiora because of the green eyes, potentially, and given the next character, this would also make a lot of sense. Next up, we have Glimmer. who is an Agnes soldier who wields a type of offensive staff. She has a strong personality and sometimes her tone is harsh. Unable to accept the truth of the world, she acts selfishly. So first of all, I absolutely love this design. It's easily my favorite of all of the characters so far. Who would have possibly guessed I'd love the healer girl with Shrine Maiden elements? The most glaringly apparent thing we see about Glimmer is that she has the Numa core crystal engraved in her chest. Now the implication here is extremely obvious, and given that she shares a voice actor with Pyra and Mithra, I think we can almost 100% confirm this is Pyra and Rex's daughter, especially because of the fire aspect of her weapon and her hair color being a mix of red and brown. Her Japanese name is Kaguroi, and apparently this is a name that results if you put the Japanese characters for fire and light together, which seemingly makes her name a reference to both Pyra and Mithra. Glimmer may be trying to take that concept and applying it to an English word, since Glimmer has some relation to light as a name. If she is Pyra and Rex's daughter, then it would make sense that Nicole is Shulk and Fiora's son in order to add a parallel there. Next up we have Shulk. Literally just Shulk, the protagonist of Xenoblade 1 with a much older looking design, with flowing long hair, and man does he look really tired in this game. The description reads he is a kind-hearted swordsman who wields a red sword. He helped Kaguroi or Glimmer after being attacked by Mobius. From past battles, his right arm becomes a prosthetic hand, and he wields a large sword with his left hand. The Dunban parallels here are very obvious, losing the ability to use his right hand and being forced to become a one-armed swordsman now. In later combat sections, we also see that he is a tank class, meaning he's likely going to follow the Dunban agility tank fighting style even closer. His weapon is a replica Monado, and his arm is now prosthetic. Based on context clues and how he looks even older here, we can assume there has been some additional time that has passed since the original DLC teaser cutscene where we saw that he was fighting alongside Rex against Alvis, but once again I'll talk about that a bit more later. The final party member we have is literally Rex, the protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This also means that both Shulk and Rex are likely fighting alongside their children, which is really cool to see. Rex now dual wields each of swords, and his description reads, he is a warrior wielding 2 pairs of swords and has a bold and frank personality, very similar to the Rex that we know. Together with Shulk, he leads an organization called the Liberators. He lost his left eye in a past battle. The dual wielding is likely inspired by Vandam from Xenoblade 2, which means both Shulk and Rex are carrying on the legacy of their mentors and are fighting alongside their children, which I think fits very well with Xenoblade 3's theming. It seems he and Shulk are leading an organization that is likely leading the charge against Mobius in its current form. It's likely they'll act as de facto leaders of the main party even if they aren't the main character, and man am I honestly just really excited to play as them again. It seems that based on screenshots that Rex is also able to combine his 2 dual-wielded Aegis swords to make a green-looking Numa sword that will likely be used for certain attacks. There is a lot to be excited about here just based on this alone. There's a bit more info about 2 characters on this page, so let's take a look at those real quick. Next up we have Niall. This is Matthew's sister. In the city, she has a kind personality and takes care of the children. An event leads to her disappearance. We have no other information about what this event could possibly be just yet, but we just know that she has disappeared for some reason. The name potentially comes from Nael Tamauk, who is the wife of one of Noah's children in the Bible. Noah's son Ham married Nael Tamauk. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily where it comes from for sure, but it does have some relation to the name Noah, so that would be my best guess. You could also maybe stretch and say it also makes a cat noise similar to Mio, Meow, and Nia, Nya, but I don't really know if it does that. So that's my best guess personally. That's about all the info given that we have about her here, and we can assume that she eventually will become the leader of House Doyle, and given how the other 5 party members outside of A are also house leaders, or at least mentors to house leaders in Shulk and Rex's case, it seems the mysterious 7th founder could possibly be A. That is the logical theory at the very least. Back to Niall, she has the Nia Flesh Eater type core crystal engraved in her chest in her official art, so it makes sense that she might be related to Noah and Mio in some way, or at least Ann and M, since Mio is very obviously Nia and Rex's daughter. This also means we know of where 2 of the children are now, but no idea where Mithra's child is, meaning we might see her or him as an antagonist in the DLC, or maybe they just won't appear at all. We also don't even know where Pyra and Mithra themselves are, which is pretty strange because they're very popular characters, so you think they might want to advertise them. But hopefully they'll appear in some form because I do miss them and I would like to see them again. The final bit of character info we have on this page is Question Mark, a mysterious figure who appeared in front of Shulk and Rex. Who could this mysterious figure be? I've never seen him before in my life. Jokes aside, this is very obviously Alvis, and he has the Aegis Core Crystal in this image and is using a Monado. He also has wings like Zanja, which is likely a relevant plot point to show he has full access over the power that Zanza had, or likely still has access to the Zohar in some potential way, or should I say the conduit. The rest of the info on this page is combat related, and I will likely cover that in a separate video, so let's get back to the trailer now with all that info taken care of. Let's talk about this graphic. In addition to looking really cool, in the background of this graphic we have what appears to be Prison Island, which indicates we will be visiting it during the events of the game. We also see structures that look similar to either the Olethra ruins from Oriah or the Kingdom of Tantal from Xenoblade 2, indicating that this is the area that has been fused with in this far back version of Ionios. Given Tantal was not seen in the main game, I'd be leaning more towards it being Tantal. There isn't really much else here, but the fact that Prison Island is back is really cool at the very least. The title being Future Redeemed is interesting, since it seems to be just a Founders prequel with no indication of anything related to the future of the base game, but perhaps it will make sense in time. There are some connections to Future Connected that we will see later as well. The next clip has Glimmer and Nickel fighting each other, as Glimmer is from Agnes and Nickel from Kevis, and seems they are both trapped in the Endless Now cycle currently, judging by the tattoos on their body. This also means these are probably not the original versions of these characters, meaning they likely will not know Shulk and Rex are their parents, which will likely lead to touching cutscenes where the truth is revealed, at least hopefully. Before the fight continues even further, we see Matthew interrupting them with his Ouroboros gauntlets. In an additional cutscene at some point, it looks like he quite literally activated Ouroboros within them in some form, but there's been no confirmation of an actual Ouroboros form between the two yet, or if there has, I haven't been paying attention at all. The next clip has A stabbing and presumably killing a member of Mobius from the past, indicating they will likely be the primary antagonistic force of the DLC, even still. Judging by this character saying Clockless to Glimmer, I assume this is after she has had some level of Ouroboros power activated, so she's free from the Flame Clock's control, so likely after meeting Matthew. We can also assume this girl here has some relation to Shulk, and could be a relative to Charlotte even just judging by the design. Speaking of Shulk, he shows up next, and man does he look tired, as I said. I don't think he's gotten much sleep in a while. And right after that, we have Rex saving Nickel and Glimmer and saying two of his iconic Xenoblade 2 lines, and doing the iconic Aegis sword pose because Rex is just that awesome. No sign of Pyre and Mithra still though, and even his weapons just seem to be the blade type weapons from the Ionios world instead of the actual Aegis swords. Hopefully we'll figure out what's going on with this very soon. The next section of the trailer, we literally get to see two Ferranuses being fused together, which is a really interesting concept. Seems like they are an Agnes and a Kevis type of Ferranus as well, to show parallels to the type of fusion between the two nations. The fusion seems to be the result of one of the Mobius's power, as he is in the middle of the Ferranuses, holding them together. These Mobius don't look like familiar designs either, so they are likely new Mobius for the DLC story. It's a really cool concept as an antagonistic enemy, so I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm a big fan of it. This next section of the trailer is a combat section, and while I won't talk too much about the specifics in this video, there is some more relevant things in these clips I do want to talk about specifically. The most relevant is that in a few of these clips we have creatures that look exactly like the Fog Beasts from Future Connected, and are likely going to be very similar to Gnosis creatures, similar to how Mobius are basically sentient types of Gnosis. I can't tell you exactly what this means right now, but considering the Fog King came from beyond a dimensional rift, that has to be some type of implication for the origins of Ionios and how this world came into being, and why there are annihilation events and all of that. I'm really excited to figure out the connections here and see what's going on. A has an ability known as Vision, which grants immunity to damage for a set amount of time, and also has the Monado Circle as part of her weapon. And this could indicate that she is definitely half of Alvis, considering that she has half an Alvis wing when she activates Vision. This could indicate that she has half of his power, or his essence, or something like that, which could make sense, especially because the Alvis we know seems so different than the Alvis that is shown in this teaser, and the art of Alvis seems to be very pale, and he's even listed as a question mark, so maybe he's not even called Alvis here, who knows? Rex has his Aegis swords back, and Shulk has even more Monado arts he uses now, which is cool. I'll talk a bit more about the mechanics of combat that I've noticed and everything else related to combat in another video, but just wanted to point out some of these things that are related to the lore. The next section of the video is the proper introduction to Niall in the trailer. She seems concerned that even if Mobius is not around, the nature of humanity will not change and people will continue to just wage war and kill others. This mindset could be related to the reason she ends up disappearing, since there's a character who looks suspiciously like her a little bit later in this trailer. She seems like she was clutching someone as she was dying, which probably led to this mindset and outburst. We can't see who this person that she was clutching is, based on this shot, but it is obviously someone that is very close or important to her. We also hear a vocal track in the background, and the singer sounds a lot like Joanne Hogg, the original singer of the Xenos, Gears, and Xenosaga Episode 1 vocal tracks. If this truly is her, that's a pretty amazing way to bring about the conclusion of this part of the Xenoblade story, and also bring everything back full circle. The very next shot of the Trinity processor with all 3 Aegis cores, and this is a very sick image, I love it. And this basically confirms that Alvis was indeed Ontos in case there's still any Ontos deniers out there. Just seeing this again got me really hyped though, and I'm curious if the full processor is going to be relevant in the story DLC since we still don't know where Pyre and Mithra are. The Malos core also seems to shine brighter in this trailer than it did in Xenoblade 2, which could showcase or indicate that he was corrupted by the darkness in Amalthus and wasn't supposed to initially be like that. That's not super related to Future Redeemed, so let's get back to this. Regardless, with A and Glimmer there seems to be multiple copies of similar cores to the Trinity processors now, so I wonder how that will work in the DLC expansion, and if Glimmer might have some level of Aegis or Trinity processor power. There's a zoom in on the Alvis processor where Shulk talks about a gift from Alvis. We don't know what this gift is, but it's possible that it has something to do with A, since she does have the Alvis core earring. There's a lot we could speculate here, but it seems like Alvis may not be as antagonistic as we expect, and something may have happened to corrupt him into the form we saw in the teaser. The next clip shows the base of operations for the Liberators that Shulk and Rex lead. I assume this will be the base throughout the game because it looks like it has shops and a lot of people in it. Fun fact, the community is back, and this might function similar to the Torna Capital just for Future Redeemed. Hopefully the community isn't required this time to complete the story. Now, the next part of this trailer is one of the most interesting parts of the trailer. We see Zed, who appears to just be hanging out on the side of Shulk and Rex talking to potentially corrupted Alvis. Bro thinks he's on the team. Zed also talks to Alvis and calls him his god, and mentions how Alvis seemingly wants to erase him. Now, I cannot even begin to explain what is happening in the scene and how we go from Alvis being antagonistic to Zed being antagonistic, but it's possible Alvis might just be trying to eliminate everything, including Mobius and everyone now, even including Rex and Shulk, since this cutscene takes place before the main story based on Rex and Shulk looking younger. It's possible that this Mobius and Ionios thing is something Alvis does not want to happen, so he's just like, alright, screw it, I'm just gonna erase everything and start over again or something. Who knows? I imagine this is inside Origins, and this might even be part where Zed takes control of Origin and creates Ionios as it is today after stopping the corrupted Alvis who may have gifted his powers or split himself into A or something like that. It's hard to grasp exactly what is going on here and why Zed thinks he's on the team, but hopefully this makes him a more compelling character at the very least. Maybe it'll explain a bit more about how Mobius formed as well. We get a nice sequence of Matthew and A fighting N on what appears to be Prison Island after this once again, indicating we will likely go to Prison Island. Not too much to analyze here besides that it looks very cool and very sick, and I can't wait to play this game. The next 2 clips specifically highlight interaction between Glimmer and Rex and then Nicole and Shulk. I believe this is absolutely intentional to showcase the relations between these characters, and I assume these are where we're going to get our touching moments of Glimmer talking about being able to choose for herself as any indication. We also see Shulk's arm being worked on by Nicole, which is pretty cool also, and also, Riku is there! Why is he just there? Who is Riku? He is not a common Nopot, he is such a liar! What is he doing thousands of years ago just there? I really hope we get some clarity about this, and man, I really hope they explain what was meant by Riku mentioning in the main game that Nopon aren't supposed to interfere. There are so many questions surrounding Riku, and I hope we get all of those answers. Riku was the real Alvis all along, am I right, everyone? The next clip focuses heavily on A and a flashback to the cutscene of Klaus activating the Zohar and creating his new universe. This definitely showcases some parallels with Alvis and brings attention to the fact that despite humanity basically being super advanced and reaching for the stars, they still got greedy and wanted more. They wanted to become God. Really cool parallels to Xenogears and Xenosaga here, but I won't go into that for the sake of spoilers. The final clip of the trailer is another close-up of another Alvis core crystal, but this time it seems to be connected to a masked character who is almost certainly Nile, especially because she directly addresses Matthew by name here. And that begs the question, how did she lose the Nia Flesh Eater core crystal and gain this instead? What exactly is going on here, and why does she have a Mobius-like outfit similar to M? Her shoulder designs also look similar to the Minato circles, so there could be some relation there as well, but it's seeming more likely that Alvis or Anto split his power somehow, and this is the result. I won't lie, I still have a ton of questions about where this is going. I wonder how they are going to be able to tie everything together and wrap everything up in this DLC, and I wonder how much this is supposed to lead into the future of the series also. But I also know I'm very much looking forward to this a lot, and I really hope you are too. I'm so excited to play this in just 5 days from now. I hope this video was able to both teach you a few things, show you stuff you might have missed, and also get you even more hyped and impatient for this to come out. Please look forward to a video analyzing the combat of Future Redeemed and other videos in the future. As always, if you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like, and comment telling me what you are most looking forward to or what I might have missed. As always, thank you all so much for watching and have a wonderful and blessed day, and I will see you back here soon.